I came here tonight with a fucking taser because you think you're protesting peacefully?
So you can call me TikTok watcher, you can call me Gen Z, you can call me arrogant. What you can't do is respond to the facts.
What facts? The fact that I was born there and you weren't? The fact that you have a second-hand knowledge?
No, the fact that
the fact that you think saving human life is treason?
They planned to move on and kill as much as they could. In Be'er Sheva, in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, they wanted to slaughter everybody. You know what? Maybe you will not believe me. I can present you my videos that I took there.
The son of one of the founders of Hamas debates a pro-Palestinian activist from UCLA. Watch as he gets completely destroyed.
Name 3 books as source
sure.
of your information.
Yeah, sure. The Nation Forum by Rashida Khalidi.
Who is that? I never heard of this woman.
He was actually he was part of the peace process in the 90s.
Okay.
But you don't know about him. That's fine. I still respect your opinion. It doesn't mean that you're wrong just because you don't know a single author, okay? That's fine.
All the books that you read looks like going only in one direction, to delegitimize Israel.
Do you know who Benny Morris is?
I don't need to know. I think you're just making up stuff.
Or the making of the Israeli nation.
And I think...
Making of the Israeli nation. Do you know that book? Or are you just uneducated?
Look,
what's the...
Look, what's
the answer?
Listen, what did I tell you from the beginning of this conversation? I don't need to read books to know my
you don't need to read books, but I do.
I write the books. I live the experience. I am the author.
All the credibility you gained.
I am not a second-hand knowledge.
All of the credibility that you gained by living in Palestine was taken away from you when Israel put you on their paycheck.
Now, to people like us who really know what the Quran teaches, it's just crazy to even imagine this is even happening. But now we're going to see Mossab really hit the nail on the head.
First of all, if you want to take personal aim, I can take you on a rabbit hole that you will never get out of it.
Sure. Go ahead.
I have been patient and respecting you. You know why? Because you're just an arrogant student with no knowledge, with no life experience, advocating on a very dangerous cause, being a useful idiot in the hands of terrorists, creating trouble, putting encampment, breaking the law, advocating on behalf of a terrorist organization designated by the American law as a terrorist organization, makes you a terrorist. So if you want to talk about personal things, you challenge me for doing a legitimate work for a democracy to save human lives, and you want to reduce my effort to say that I got paid 10 years fighting and chasing after terrorists who blow up, killed Americans, Israelis, Arabs, Muslims, all type of people indiscriminately. Do you think you can sit here and judge me? And you don't have the authority to sit there and judge, tell me I took money or I did not take money. This is not your business.
No, you did take money. That's a fact, and that's fine.
This is not your business.
You took money from Israel, and that's okay. You're a propagandist for Israel. That's just a fact, and it's the reality of the situation.
If you know anything about Mossab, you know that he had a really hard life, and to wave that all away by calling him a propagandist is crazy. It just goes to show the shameless denial these people are in.
No matter what I say, he's going to say you are paid, you're on a payroll, you're advocating on behalf of the Zionists, and he will continue to be in his denial for eternity. This is a phenomenon of useful idiots that they're advocating on behalf of a dangerous organization. They're bringing chaos, intifada to the United States of America because the government is not taking care of this business.
He has the literal son of the co-founder of Hamas telling him how they operate, what they do, and he still doesn't believe it. Really goes to show, at least for me, that this is a spiritual battle.
So you can call me TikTok watcher, you can call me Gen Z, you can call me arrogant. What you can't do is respond to the facts.
What facts?
Well, you know,
what facts?
To be fair, we need facts, and that's what I was kind of asking you about. So,
well, the fact that I was born there and you weren't? The fact that you have a second-hand knowledge?
No, the fact that
you think saving human life is treason?
But now it's really gonna get bad for him, because a member of the audience, who was one of the hostages taken by Hamas, joins them on stage and tries to have a dialogue with him. But as you will see, he was really uncomfortable. He couldn't even look at her.
I guess I just would ask you the simple question of what do you want the world to know? What do you want Mr. Doyle to know?
I'm an artist. I served the army 22 years ago. I have all the signs on me. I had an Arabic necklace on me. I had the Indian Ganesh tattoo on me. I had Pharaoh on my fingers because I'm half Egyptian and half Moroccan, but I'm Jewish. Okay? And I have the letter I got on my hand. You know why? Because I believe in coexisting. Did you know that the vast majority of the hostages believes in coexisting? So I'm an artist. And on October 7th, I went to fulfill my dream. I went to make my dream come true. When October 7th happened, and that's a fact, they told me it in the inside. They didn't know about the Nova Festival music. They didn't know that we have 3,000 people in there. They planned, and they told me that. They planned to move on and kill as much as they could. In Beersheba, in Tel Aviv, in Haifa, they wanted to slaughter everybody. You know what? Maybe you will not believe me. I can present to you my videos that I took there. Do you know how many bodies were there? Do you know how much violence was taken on me? I was caught in the middle of a lynch. I was presented as a soldier because I chose to wear green army look-alike uniform that day. By mistake, I was categorized as a soldier, and I was treated as a soldier. When I was entering Gaza, and I told you before, I have Arab suppliers, I have Arab neighbors and Arab friends. When I was entering Gaza, and there is a video of that, I saw 100% of civilians celebrating me being taken. All I saw is 100% of civilians lynching me, beating me up. I was with a broken leg. I had bruises all over my body. Do you know that I've never cursed them? I've never argued with them. And I've never treated them like garbage. I respected them, even when they abused me.
You can see he has nothing to say to this, because he knows he can't defend those actions. But they go on to talk about how none of the real members of Hamas are willing to debate or talk about this openly.
Question.
But how can you have a discussion with none of the Hamas representatives sitting here now, and you will never sit here right now? How can you have both sides facts if only one side is volunteer to sit here at all time? Did you see any one of the Hamas comes to sit here?
I can't speak for the people who didn't want to speak. But what I can say is that the view of Hamas as a completely implacable force is not completely incorrect, because they see the Palestinian issue as a very religious issue, and going back on that issue is seen as going back on God. But like we saw with the PLO, over time, they become more of a political movement and less of a nationalist movement, like we'll see with Hamas. Like we've seen with the change from 1987 charter to 1917 charter, they change and they adapt and they grow over time, and it's changing from a staunchly religious movement. Obviously, it still is a very much religious movement, but the movement itself, especially with regard to Hamas, becomes more political and becomes more malleable. The idea is that in time, if we can get Israel and Hamas to both agree to a just solution, then it's ridiculous to say, well, because Hamas is implacable now, then there won't be a solution.
So he refuses to answer the first question. Then he goes on to say that magically Hamas is going to be more reasonable over time if they can strike some kind of deal, which we all know is never going to happen. Surah 9:5 says, "Then kill the disbelievers wherever you find them, capture them and besiege them, and lie in wait for them in each and every ambush."
The problem is not only with Hamas. It looks like we have to please so many opposing forces. We try to please Hamas, then we have a problem with the Islamic Jihad. Then if we please Islamic Jihad, we have a problem with the Public Front. We please this, then we have to go to Fida. Then we have to go to national. We have about 12 Palestinian factions, and all of them have different idea of what Palestine is and what can satisfy their political ambition. Then now we have Mr. Dillon, and we have a million like him in the United States that they became legitimate force in the conflict. So Israel will have to also bring them to the negotiating table and try to please their political ambition as well. So as you see, each one of them is basically a black hole that cannot be satisfied. And all of them have one thing in common, and that's not to build a Palestine, it's only to delegitimize Israel. That's the only thing they know how to do. Because if you ask him practically, how can he actually construct a model of Palestine if he's never been there. If he was actually a sincere person, he would take a flight and go to Gaza and feel the people and see their suffering firsthand. Or if it's too dangerous for him, I wouldn't blame him. Probably he would be very terrified to be in Gaza. It's too much. At least go to the West Bank. You can go to the city of Ramallah, live with the people for a couple of years, understand their culture. And when I say a couple of years, it's not enough. In order to know the mentality of the people, you have to spend with them a decade at least of daily experience to understand what they stand for before you start advocating on their behalf. You're just taking the side against Israel for killing Gaza children, ignoring the reality that Hamas is using them as civilians, as human shields. And I've been telling you this from day one, that you have been used by Hamas. They want you to cause chaos. They want the global chaos. They want to put pressure on the U.S. government, on the Israeli government, and all other democracies. They want to bring the civilized world to its knees from those ugly images that we see from the war. But Israel did not initiate that war on October 7th. Hamas did. And our problem is not only with Hamas, it's with the Palestinian ideology that you just want to gift Hamas and other fanatics a Palestinian state, thinking that this is going to bring a solution. This is going to create a global chaos. These people are not looking for equal opportunity. They don't want to divide the land. If they wanted to divide the land, they would have accepted the partition back in 1948. But instead of declaring their independence, they declared war against the Jewish people. Then they remembered some 40 years later to declare their independence. This is the Palestinians, or what so-called Palestinians. They have many fundamental problems. They don't have a legitimate leadership. You know, you tell me about the camp, and like you speak on behalf of all the encampment in the United States. You run only a camp here at UCLA. There are other encampments. You are not in charge of them, and they did not even elect you as a leadership. You don't have a moral compass. You don't have an objective out of this thing. You're just going in a revolution for the sake of revolution, intifada, and you don't have a resolution. Where are you getting? What's the next shore? So fundamentally, we have a problem with Palestine. Before we resolve this issue, we need the Palestinians to decide what they want. First of all, what's their constitution? What's their agenda? What's their leadership? And will they drop violence as a method? Will they accept Israel's right to exist? Then after that, we can have a dialogue, and there can be a solution. But as long as they want to annihilate the state of Israel, kill their own children, sacrifice civilians only for your sympathy and the rest of the world's sympathy, then this cycle of violence will never end. So first of all, the force narrative must end. Then the use of violence has to be dropped completely and unconditionally, targeting civilians indiscriminately. Then after that, there would be room for dialogue and negotiations.
And it's so crazy to me how these college students are defending literal terrorists, not knowing or completely ignoring the fact that these terrorists don't even agree with what they're saying, especially when it comes to things like women's rights and gays' rights.
My name is Renee, and I'm from Jordan, and I grew up there. Aiden, as a young man, I commend you for putting on a suit and coming out here tonight. I appreciate that from a professor, okay? But you also have to have enough humility to know that you don't know enough. And I'm telling you that as an Arab. So where would I rather live? Tel Aviv or Gaza? Who would I rather live amongst? Hamas, which is what you're advocating for. I also believe that it's words and your actions are incredibly dangerous. So you're not doing my people any good by these encampments. If anything, you're empowering Hamas, Hezbollah, ISIS, and the plethora that are kind of in breeding right now. So like I said, I appreciate, you putting on a suit and coming here and speaking for my people. My people don't want you speaking for them. because you're not helping us. You're not.
Well,
you can shake your
I
head.
have a
You can
question.
shake your head. You can shake your
I
head.
don't claim to speak for the people of Jordan. I don't know what.
Well,
they want.
Palestine, same thing. Listen, don't be
No,
rude,
I'm
man.
asking
They're
you.
not the
Look,
same thing.
okay,
actually.
It's
Doyle.
not the same thing, but no, actually, here's the thing. Here's one thing you don't know.
No,
Okay,
they're literally not.
hold on.
Be-
Let her speak.
Before the British mandate, I could have been a Palestinian instead of a Jordanian or Egyptian. It's the same people. So don't act like you know my people better than myself or Yusuf. So that's the arrogance. This is the arrogance and the problem that I have with the encampments. I came here tonight with a fucking taser because you think you're protesting peacefully? I'm going to be okay showing up here by myself because white, entitled, spoiled Americans want to get attention? That's what you're standing up for. You're making it worse for Arabs here and back home. So you're not doing any of us any help.
All these college students defending Hamas are, as he put it, useful idiots. Now Mossab gets asked what he thinks of the students that wear keffiyehs.
They will never be part of the reality of the Middle East. They will continue to be part of a virtual reality disconnected from the real world. And I guarantee you that this is not only his or their problems. In life, they are disconnected from reality. They are living in an alternative reality. And this is where they think they rule, by how many followers they have. But eventually, you know who decides the reality on the ground? The brave soldiers who are fighting the real fight in the face of the monsters. At the end of the day, okay, I agreed to come to this debate, but I didn't think that is going to be this ridiculous. Okay. But anyway, I choose to come to someone who's living in their own head, and they want to defy a 45-year of solid experience that has the power of gravity that can take a galaxy in if necessary. So he can go on thinking in his head, but at the end of the day, the powerful soldiers, those are my people. Those are the ones who are going to decide the day. And those are the ones who will write the history. And everyone else will read it.